welcome. My name is Malachi. I am your English guide, and today we're talking about why discipline is important in learning English. So I know that this is not going to be a popular message, and it's something that you probably don't want to hear. And as these things are, a lot of times the messages that we need to hear the most are the ones that we avoid, are the ones that are the most painful. So today we're talking about something that is very, very important in mastering any skill, actually, and that is discipline. So you want to learn English, great, but you already speak English, you already understand English, right? If you're watching this video, you're listening, you are understanding what I'm saying, you have a certain level of fluency, of comprehension, right? So what you mean when you say you want to learn English is you want to improve your English, you want to master it, you want to understand everything, right? So great, that's a great goal, and we should pursue that goal, but how are we actually going to get there? And a lot of people think that the best way to get there is by, mapping it all out, by memorizing all of the vocabulary, or mastering all of the phrasal verbs, or this thing or that thing, and that's just simply not true. Those things are useful, they're helpful, they're interesting, it's part of the learning process, it's part of the journey. But actually, most people have too much of that. Most people have too much theory, they have too much vocabulary, they have too much of this stuff that it's actually hindering them, it's actually hurting their progress. Why? Why is that? So that's kind of the idea that we're going to talk about in this video. And then after we understand that idea, we understand the importance of discipline, then we're going to talk about the difference between living practice and dead practice, okay? So sit back, relax, and strap in, prepare for your new life in English. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's fine. Cool, so a lot of what we're doing when we sit down to master English or to study English or practice English is trying to understand the content, right? We're trying to understand, okay, I need this vocabulary word, or I need to practice my listening skills, or I need to do this, I need to do that. And the truth is, actually, what you probably need most of the time is just discipline. It is the discipline to actually follow through on all of those great ideas, those great, vocabulary learning sessions, or those great moments when you're practicing, you're studying, you're learning, right? But say you do that for a week or a month, and then you're motivated, you're super excited, you're following some person on YouTube, they're helping you out, and then you hit a wall. Your progress, it stops, and the motivation is gone. And all of a sudden, it's not fun anymore. It's not new, it's not exciting. You don't feel like you're making progress. You feel like every single day you're going in circles, you're having the same problems, you don't know how to get out. The only way out of that place is discipline. It is doing what is hard, doing what you know you need to do, but you don't want to do. It is choosing to do what you have set a goal to do even when you don't want to. That is the only way that you're gonna move through that desert, through that plateau, through that intermediate level where you can understand this video, but you still struggle with following and having a fluid, spontaneous conversation with a native speaker, right? The only way is through showing up every single day, or even if you've committed to every single week, whatever works for your schedule, whatever you have identified as your goals, your discipline schedule. It is actually doing it. It's taking action, right? This is normal. This is gonna happen. I'm gonna drink my coffee real quick. Hold on. So this is gonna happen a lot when we're studying something like a language, right? When it's very intellectual, right? It's very book heavy. It's all about learning words and sitting down and using our brain, right? This doesn't happen so much with skills like martial arts, yoga, sports, or things that require us to be on the job acting all the time, right? We kind of get in this momentum where we're just required to act. But when it comes to languages, it's very easy to get too much of the book smart, too much of the technical, too much of the, well, this phrasal verb, that, well, this pronunciation, that, well, this vocabulary, that, well, this accent, this slang, that. And we get caught up in these intellectual games, these intellectual traps where we're arguing about the best method or the best this or the best that, whatever. And that becomes a way of procrastinating actually just using the language, just practicing, just doing. So let me give you one piece of advice, one technique that you can take home after this video and apply. And if you just do this one thing over and over and over, you can develop this will, you can develop the discipline to stick with this. I promise you, your English is gonna improve so much faster, okay? So every time you find yourself frustrated, making an excuse, or generally justifying some reason why you should not be learning English right then, right now, you find yourself like, oh, well, I need to go buy a new grammar book, or I need to find a better podcast, or I need to find a better teacher, or I can't learn English because my country this, because my money that, because my circumstances this, etc., etc. Every single time that you find yourself making an excuse, I want you to just take action. Do this. 3, 2, 1, and just start. Put on a podcast. Strike up a conversation on Hello Talk. Go to Hello Talk and say, hi, I'm practicing English. Can I talk with you? And do nothing else. Don't check TikTok. Don't go to Facebook. Don't start reading some other book. Don't start, oh, I need to go do this. Ooh. Just start doing that right there and stay in that as long as you can. Stay in that conversation, listening to that podcast to the point where you learn something new, right? Stay present. Integrate practice, become associated to what you're doing, to whatever your level is. It's the conversation, it's the movie you're watching, it's the podcast you're listening to. Maybe you're living in the country and you decide to go out and just start talking to native speakers. Whatever it is, every time you find yourself making an excuse, 3, 2, 1, take action, okay? If there's anything that you take from this video, it's that technique right there, okay? So now we're gonna talk about why this works. The reason this works is because most of what you already need to know, you already know. See, you actually are already a brilliant linguist. You're a brilliant master of English. You just don't believe it. You have all of this resistance that's telling you otherwise. You have evidence in your life that's telling you otherwise. You have, you know, self-doubt or criticism, or maybe you have other people criticizing you, but most of the time we are our own worst critic, right? So you have all of this stuff telling you no, wrong, bad, this, that, whatever, and we have this huge ball of resistance, and we think the way that we need to get through it is by studying more, by intellectualizing it more, and this is actually not the case. The way that you break through all of that resistance is discipline. It is, and so what you'll find is that as you persist with this, if you keep doing it every single time that you don't want to, you keep doing it, you keep studying, you show up every single day, this resistance over time, and it might take some time, it might take weeks, it might take days, it might take months, you know, everyone's going to be different, but if you keep persisting with it, you're going to get through to the other side. You're going to get access to that part of your brain that says, oh, wait a second, I already speak a language, I already speak my native language, I already know how to use language, I already know how to communicate. There's actually a lot of information in my brain. There's a lot of, you know, you're gonna get contact with that inner genius that knows what to do, that knows when to study, and then two, the process is gonna become fun again because you broke past through all that resistance. And so this is basically the way that we're gonna get back. We're gonna get back to our inner linguist, our inner genius, our inner ability to understand languages, right? It's not about, it's really truly, it's not about making it more complex, it's about simplifying it over and over and over again, and constantly taking action, okay? So now for the second part of this video, we're going to talk about live practice versus dead practice. So live practice is essentially what is real, what is organic. It is everything that you are training for. Let me give you an example of living language. This video right here is living language. I am a real person who has something to say. I have some meaning, some ideas that I want to express, and I'm using language, I'm using the English language as a vehicle to express those ideas, okay? So this is very natural, it's organic. Dead practice is when we are analyzing something, when we are basically breaking apart something that's alive into its components, its pieces, right? So if you relate this to a music example, you have a live performance, right? So say I'm a guitarist, right? I don't play the guitar, but let's pretend that I play the guitar. So cool, every single day I practice. So I'm breaking it apart, smaller pieces. Right, so I'm taking a whole and I'm breaking it into small pieces. I'm trading those pieces over and over again, and then I'm putting it back into the whole. This is essentially how we're supposed to be learning English, but it gets very distorted by the typical language learning structures that exist in most schools. We become so focused on the dead practice, and we forget all of the living practice. And what most schools consider living practice is actually still just dead practice. So this is like when you open up a textbook and it's like, okay, read this conversation. John, hi, my name is John. I'm learning English. Hi, John. Nice to meet you. My name's Kathy. Where are you from? I'm from the Philippines. Wow, what's the weather like there? Boring. Wrong. Dead. You're never gonna learn anything like this, okay? This is day one, okay? I have never heard English ever before in my life, okay? Then this is useful, right? If you've never heard an English word or an English sound in your life, great. Now this is mildly useful, right? Because we're getting exposure to the language. We're learning how to introduce ourselves. Hi, my name's Kathy. Like, I need to know that. Great. But the problem then with the language education that exists is what should be the first day is usually what we study for the first year. And this is why you get people that spend 8 years, 10 years, 20 years studying English and they still don't speak it. Is because they're still stuck on day one doing the same dead things over and 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 over again, and they're fucking frustrated, they're upset, they're mad, and they associate pain to learning English because they're not making progress, it's dead, it's not relevant to their lives, and it's not helping them in any way whatsoever. So, how do we move past this? How do we actually get the value that dead language practice is supposed to give us? And how do we move towards more living forms of practice? So essentially what you want to do is, I'm going to break this down into one specific example, and then I'm going to give you some more examples of living practice, and then I'm going to tell you how you're going to go back and forth between living practice and dead practice, and you're going to use both, and they're both going to live in harmony, and they're both going to inform each other, and they're going to grow into a beautiful flowering plant of intellectual capacity and English linguistic mastery. Are you ready? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to live practice. Say, cool, my name's Pepito, right? Okay, that's so wrong. I shouldn't do that. Okay, my name is, I don't know, let's take a very stereotypical Mexican name. Where, like, my name's Juan. Okay, everyone, right, like, I'm not supposed to get stuck on the naming process. So, my name's Juan. I live in Mexico City, and I'm learning English. Great. What do I do? So I'm gonna get on Hello Talk, for example, and I'm gonna message somebody, and I'm gonna find somebody that I am genuinely interested in, right? I'm gonna find somebody who can add value to my life, and I can add value to theirs, right? Say I am, I don't know, a software developer, right? So I'm interested in tech, I'm interested in programming, everything around this. So I scroll through the people, and I find, and maybe there's an American, he lives in San Francisco, or Los Angeles, whatever, and he wants to learn Spanish. Great. And we're both software developers. Cool. Send him a message, and now we're talking, we're practicing. This already is a huge step, okay? This is already living enough. Hi, my name's Juan. I'm learning English. I would love to practice with you. Oh, what's up, Juan? That's cool. I'm learning Spanish. I want to practice my Spanish. Cool, let's help each other. What do you do for work? Oh, I'm a software developer. Cool. Where do you work? Oh, dude, I work at Google. I'm working on this project. I'm working on that project. Bam. Now we have rapport. Now I am talking to another human being. We have things in common. We are curious about each other. I want to know, who is this person? Where does he live? What's the city like? What's the weather like? What does he do? What is he interested in? And then now we can get to more interesting conversations like, what are your values? What gives your life meaning? What are your goals? What are your plans? What are your futures? How do you express yourself? What kind of art do you listen to? What do you make art? Like, and we can start to move into more organic spaces. And the whole time that we're doing this, we're gonna basically be identifying what we are missing, right? So now I'm in the middle of this conversation. I'm Juan. I'm in the middle of this conversation with Joe, and he, you know, he says something. He sends me a message, and I'm like, oh my God, there's some words in here. I don't know what they mean. Now there's some phrasal verbs or some this thing or that thing or some problem. Now that's what I want to extract, and I'm basically going to keep a list. I'm going to keep a list of questions, vocabulary, of words that are hard to pronounce, phrasal verbs, of sentences I didn't understand, right? I'm keeping a list of everything, you know, that is lacking, everything that I'm missing in order to express what I want to say or to understand what other people want to say to me. Now that I've got my list, that's what I'm going to take into my dead practice. That's when I'm sitting down with my translator and I'm going, cool, this word means this means this, this means this, this means this, this means this. What does this mean? How do I use this? Use it in a sentence. Give me an example. Let me train it. Let me slow it down. Let me speed it up. Let me practice the pronunciation, right? Now I'm taking and I'm using my dead practice. I'm using all of these skills on the content that I have extracted from my living practice. I'm exercising it, I'm practicing it, and then now that it's refines, I'm bringing it back to my living practice. And so then I, you know, as my conversation with Joe develops, I'm learning grammar, vocabulary, all of these things, but they're relevant. They're relevant to the meaning that I am hoping to express and the meaning that I am hoping to exchange and understand from other people, right? So we have this interplay between living practice and dead practice, and it's a dance. You're constantly going back and forth. You can't have too much of one or the other. If you have all of this living practice, that's great. You're getting all of this experience as well, but you do need to have some moment to ask, you know, well, why is it this way? What is the grammar, you know, that explains that it should be this way? Or what does this vocabulary word mean? Or I need to break down the pronunciation a little bit. I'm not understanding this, right? So you have to have both. You can't be missing one or the other. And the only way though that you can get to have this dance and this constant interplay between the two is that skill of discipline, right? So again, every single time you're making excuses, my country this, my brain that, my finances this, my husband that, my job this, that, the other, this, that, the other, every single time you find yourself making excuses, take full responsibility for yourself, for your education, and take action. 3, 2, 1, you're the only person that's going to teach you English. Stop waiting around for somebody else to do it. Literally, it's you. I can help you, I can guide you, I can show you the way, I can show you the path, I can show you the tricks, the tips, the techniques, but it is only in your brain that you can build up the structure of English, right? I can't do it for you, nobody else is going to do it for you. 3, 2, 1, take action.